Hey, sports card fans, it's John, Wade Boggs fan. Currently, for my vintage Hall of Fame player collection, I've been focusing on players from the years of the mid 70s up until 1980, trying to get as many of those Hall of Famers as I can from those years. I've started to expand it a little bit into the more early 70s. I find that this time period, I can still get cards in pretty decent collector grade condition that fit my current budget. But with that said, I have been every pay putting a little bit of money aside to build up a kitty, so to speak, to go after a higher priced card. And I was able to do that earlier this year when I purchased my 1980 Topps Ricky Henderson rookie card in a PSA 8. And after that, a 1964 Topps Pete Rose in a PSA 4. And I've built up a little bit, a small little kitty, and I've had my eye on this one card. I always thought it was a beautiful looking card. It was a Hall of Famer, and it was from 1952. And I do not have a single 1952 Topps card in my collection. And if you're into vintage, you have to have at least one 1952 Topps card in your collection. So I found this card. Now, from a numerical grade, it's not the best. It does have some flaws, but it still, to me, has great overall eye appeal. I'm willing to accept the flaws that it does have. To me, it doesn't really take away from the card. And I've seen worse examples in that grade. And even my thing is centering. I've even seen worse centered cards that have graded one or two grades higher. And so for the price point, it fit right into my niche. It wasn't too expensive. I'm happy with the grade. To me, it was a case of buy the card, not the grade. While I don't feel it's undergraded, I think it's a fair grade. It's still a nice looking example of that card. So really excited to show this card off today. But before I do that, I have some other Hall of Fame cards that I'm going to show off. So let's go take a look at that and finish off with my first ever 1952 Topps Hall of Fame card. Okay, I'm going to start off with the modern Topps image variation cards of Hall of Famers that I've picked up recently. The first one is from 2017, and it is the Roberto Clemente. Nice image of him. And then I have two from 2018. The first one is Ernie Banks. Nice shot of him there. And the second one is Tom Terrific. Tom Seaver. All right, moving on to 2019. I have a couple of them. First one is Barry Larkin. And the next one is a action shot here of, it's hard to make him out with everything going on, but it is of Rod Carew. There we go. It's him sort of like reaching out there for a pitch. Busy background, so you almost get the Rod almost gets lost in the image there, but yep. All right, and one from 2020, and it is a there's two versions of this Harmon Killebrew. One that's called At Bat, and another one that has him as like a follow through with his swing. So this is the At Bat version of the Harmon Killebrew. And finally, from 2021, is this Honus Wagner. Cool image of him. I don't know. I mean, if you're into vintage cards and vintage players, I mean, the Hall of Fame, the great Hall of Famers. But I think, other than the fact of his T206, I think Honus Wagner sort of gets lost in the shuffle in terms of the greats of the game. Everyone focuses on, Lou Gehrig, Babe Ruth, Hank Aaron. Definitely great players. But if you look at the back, and I'll just hold it here, I'm not sure how well it's going to come up. But obviously, what Topps does is they have the league leaders in red font. Just look at all that red. Look at all the batting titles, on base percentage, the OPS, slugging, stolen bases, RBIs. Now, he wasn't a home run hitter, okay, but you look at all those doubles. Surprisingly, he only had 2 seasons where he had 200 or more hits, but he still finished his career with 3,430 hits and a career lifetime batting average of 329 and a WAR of 130.9. So anyway, it's just nice to look back, and I knew Honus Wagner was a great player, but just didn't realize how he dominated the early part of from 1900 to 1909, 1910, that time period, that 10-year time period. It's hard to say, at least maybe in the National League, no other player was better. You had Ty Cobb over in the American League, but at any rate, that neat Honus Wagner card. All right, getting toward the end here, I do have 3 regular vintage Hall of Fame cards that I picked up. The first one is this 1980 Willie McCovey in a PSA 8. If I can get that to focus. There we go. Nice shot there at, looks like batting practice. And the next one, I've been trying to, for some of these late 70s cards, as best as I can, I've been trying to get cards that are at least PSA 8. Now, not all of them, again, fitting in my budget. This is a case of sort of a budget purchase, but also the difficulty. And I don't know if this card historically is just really known for being off-center, but I went with a 7, which is, again, still okay for a 1979 Topps card. The 8s, forget about the 9s. The 8s were just more than I wanted to spend on it. So I'm happy with this. It's a 1979 Topps Willie Stargell. As you can see, there's some diamond centering. That's not, the card isn't diamond cut, but the centering is. So you get down at the bottom there, you get a lower, smaller gap, and it gets larger there. The sides look, pretty decent, but that bottom there. But overall, hey, I'm pleased with getting a 7 and checking that off my checklist for this Willie Stargell. Overall, it's a nice looking card, but it's a 7, so I don't mind. And there's the back. It's a pretty nice back. It's off, top to bottom, left to right. You got that big border there. But again, for me to go after and get an 8, big jump up in price from what I got this for a 7. And again, I'm quite happy with having a 7 for that card. All right, the next one is 1973 Topps Steve Carlton. Now this one I managed to pick up in a 7. Pretty nice example there. Let's see if I can get it to, for some reason it doesn't want to focus on these graded cards. There we go. Yeah, overall, nicely centered, top to bottom, left and right, pretty clear image, no, fisheye print marks. everything like that. Nice clean copy. Didn't break the bank, and it's a collector grade 7 for 1973 Steve Carlton. And here is the back. Nicely centered as well. So very pleased with this purchase. I think, I forget the exact cost to me, but it was probably around, I want to say that $25 range, which I think is very reasonable for 73 Steve Carlton in a 7. All right. So here we are, the 1952 Topps card that I picked up. Again, it's not in the highest grade, but to me, it looks absolutely gorgeous. And it is the 1952 Topps Bob Feller. It's a PSA 2, and the reason why it's a PSA 2 is those corners, all 4 corners, they're rounded, they have creases. I don't know if you can see in, like, say, the top right there, just all 4 corners, and it's hard to tell on the front here, and I actually missed it in the listing, but I'm not worried about it. Right down there on the bottom, it looks like it's been pushed in. You got some of the card, you can see almost in the shadow there, how there's a mark there. It doesn't show on the back, so it's almost just like on the front. Little bit of maybe surface scratching there around his neck, but overall, to me, the colors are sharp. I'm sure there's better examples maybe out there with a brighter yellow, but again, for a 2, I think this is fairly well centered. 52 Topps cards, if you've taken a look at them, they're not always, it's really, really hard to find a perfectly centered 52 Topps card. They're always off, left to right, up or down, and maybe all 4 areas. But this one is a pretty nicely centered, not perfect, but for my eye appeal, and again, the price I got this for a 2, I've always liked this card. I've gone back and forth with it on my watch list, and was searching, and this one popped up, and I went for it and was able to get it actually a little bit less than my maximum bid. So really, really happy with this Bob Feller. Here's the back of it. And if it focuses here, I'll read the back. Rapid Robert came right off a farm and started hurling for the Indians in 1938. Outside of 3 years in the Navy, he has been taking his regular turn on the mound for 13 years. In 1951, Bob was the top hurler in the American League and became the 3rd man in baseball history to pitch 3 no-hit games in a career. The Player of the Year in 1940, he's pitched 10 one-hit games, led the league in strikeouts 7 times, and set a strikeout mark of 348 in 1946. Robert William Andrew Feller, Bob Feller. So there you have it, my 1952 Topps Bob Feller. Absolutely love it. I hope you enjoyed that look at my 1952 Topps Bob Feller card, as well as the other Hall of Fame cards that I picked up. If you like this video, would really appreciate a thumbs up. That's all I have for you. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.